Mouse P.I. is a love letter to rubber hose animation and noir, and while the game looks and sounds amazing, I wish our plucky P.I. had a little bit more going on under the hood. Mouse P.I. stars Jack Pepper, former soldier and cop who is now a down and out of luck P.I. in a world of greed and corruption, where shrews are treated as second-class citizens and the laws of physics and reality are a little bit off in places. When a missing persons case lands at his doorstep involving an old friend, he is whisked away into a conspiracy that threatens all the people, and it's going to lead to a lot of violence along the way. Right off the bat, as I said in the stinger, Mouse P.I.'s entire aesthetic and art is based off of rubber hose animation, similar to that of Cuphead, and the game just looks amazing. There are just some fantastic set pieces and backgrounds that you'll find throughout the game. Our gameplay is told in a chapter format. You'll get a couple of missions or stages from Jack's office, and then you'll go out into the world and complete them. This will involve you solving some light puzzles, jumping around, and shooting lots of mice along the way. And yes, don't let the adorable art style fool you. There's a lot of murder and heads exploding going on throughout this game. When you complete all the cases for the general chapter, you'll then be able to unlock the next set until you get to the end. The FPS gameplay here is kept more on the not exactly boomer shooter, but certainly not realistic. Jack has access to all of his weapons at all times. Your sole defensive move is a dash that charges or recharges after you use it. Throughout the game, you'll unlock new movement tech by learning that, well, you can just ignore the laws of physics from time to time, with perhaps the greatest explanation of how double jump could work in any game.
Here's the deal. When you jump, just act like you didn't. Clear your mind. No thoughts, no fear, no gravity. Then, when you forget you're midair, jump again. Works like a charm.
Gotta be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
There are secrets all around that will unlock money that can be used to buy kind of little lore pieces, as well as serve as the basis for Mouse P.I.'s kind of like game within a game in the form of a TCG baseball style game. The other thing you'll be hunting are blueprints, and these are your weapon upgrades. Every weapon in the game except for one can be upgraded 3 times. At each level, it will improve all the general stats of the weapons, as well as unlocking a new alt fire. And this is a very big deal, and it takes me to kind of my big complaint with Mouse P.I. The gunplay is just okay. It really didn't do anything that stood out for me, and it kind of felt bad at the start. Every weapon at level 1 just feels like I'm shooting spitballs at enemies with a very inaccurate straw. When you get that first upgrade, that is often enough to give the weapon enough oomph to let it really start to shine. And when you get to level 3 of that weapon, then it just really feels almost like it's at the standard levels from the other FPSs. My 2 MVPs throughout the game were the Devonisher and the Tommy gun, or shall I say the James gun. The Devonisher is just amazing. Because it kind of hits as damage over time, it's one of the few reliable sources of hit stun while you're trying to shoot enemies, and 3 hits from it is often enough to kill just about any non-boss enemy in the game. And since upgrading the weapons also increases your ammo capacity for them, this allows you to just rip and tear with it. And then the James gun, which is my all-around standard weapon for attacking. This kind of issue that I have with the gunplay also extends to the enemies. Despite how interesting the world looks, and a variety of enemy models, the enemies all fall into some very basic types. You have the machine gun enemies, who are probably the most dangerous. All the machine gunners in this game will lead their shots, and on hard mode they are quite good at dialing in and hitting you from afar. You have snipers who teleport around without any warning, and they deliver a lovely hit scan attack that can just melt your health. And then everything else is just kind of like melee or grenade throwers, which are very easily dealt with just about any weapon that you have. And I was really hoping to see more variety in terms of the level and enemy design. You see, a lot of people are going to compare Mouse P.I. to Cuphead. Both use overhose animation, both look amazing, but the difference between the two is that the entire animation style in Cuphead kind of infers, or everything is built around it. How your attacks work, how the enemies behave. It connects with the world and the world building. In Mouse P.I., it's just simply window dressing for the gameplay. And outside of a few set pieces, the fact that we're in this very animated world is never really brought up or really involved in the gameplay itself. And like I said, there are a few set pieces where this kind of breaks, such as when you eat spinach and get Popeye arms for some punching, which the game I think kind of infers that Jack just carries around cans of spinach on him at all times for emergencies only. There's one level where kind of the whole cartoon physics and so on and the gameplay blend together, and it's my absolute favorite level that occurs near the end. And I'm not going to tell you what it is for spoiler reasons, because I want you to experience that blind. But while Jack gets new abilities and so on, I was expecting the enemies to step up at some point. Why can't they double jump? Why doesn't an enemy pull out a can of spinach and then starts running around like a mini mouse Hulk? It's never really explained or explored at all in the main game. And while developers have teased that there is going to be at least one DLC chapter coming at some point, I'm curious to see if they'll do anything about it. Because the game, again, it kind of leans into and kind of leaves it on the corners or the edges, but never really embraces it. And that is where I was really hoping to see things go, and was ultimately very disappointed. As another bit of frustration, the game features a really great take on the lock-picking minigame when you're picking the various safes, but then it really introduces a hard difficulty spike by making them one-shots. If you fail the safe, it jams and you're unable to try it again unless you reload a save. And it just feels like a very weird consideration, considering that no other part of the game has this kind of level of difficulty. All in all, Mouse P.I. is not a bad game. As I said, it looks and sounds fantastic, the story is interesting, and there are some really great set pieces as you get close to the end. But for someone like me who has Ultra der Sulaco relentlessly dusk amid cultic, I couldn't help but feel disappointed that the gameplay has never lived up to this amazingly drawn world. With that, Mouse P.I. was played with a press key. When to your game for a future stream, it doesn't involve mouse, P.I., spinach, or rubber hose. Be sure to get in touch. What did you think of the game? Let me know down in the comments. And with that, we'll be back with more design talks and indie games coming soon. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.